Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. Today, I have a very special guest here for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
Hi, I'm Jacob Francy, calling from Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, Jacob, tell me about your past, leading up into your present, and then we're going to just talk straight politics.
Awesome. So I'm Jacob Francy. I'm from Nashville, and so I am currently the chair of the Tennessee High School Democrats. Before that, I was about 15, 16 years old during the Covenant school shooting, got national attention. Three teachers and three students were fatally shot, and that's a school I used to attend. Ever since then, I had stood up and talked to my legislators and other community leaders about gun reform in Nashville and Tennessee specifically. And ever since then, I began to grow and get connected within the Democratic Party in Tennessee. I've served as the Middle Tennessee vice president for the Tennessee Young Democrats. I served later as the founder of the Davidson County High School Democrats, which is Nashville. And now, obviously, in my current position, I have also been able to be on the executive committee for the Tennessee Democratic Party and a delegate to the Young Democrats of America. So, yeah, very happy to be here.
Okay, where were you when this horrific accident happened during the shooting?
I was a freshman and I was in class at just came out of fitness. We have a little fitness class where we go lift at our gym, and went back into the locker room, and coach was on his phone glued to it, and he said, guys, did you hear about the shooting that just happened? We're like, no. He's like, it was like Covenant. I'm like, my Covenant? Because there's a bunch of different Covenant areas, churches and schools. And it's like, yeah, the Covenant School, which is actually right across the street from where I am. I can see it right now as we speak. Um, and, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way, there's no way someone would go and take a rifle and shoot someone at that exact area where there's kids from pre-K to sixth grade.
How do you think this incident could have been prevented, seeing as though you were a freshman at the time? How could it have been prevented?
There's a lot of different ways, to be quite frank. There are many different options. Tennessee prides itself on being a strong defender of the Second Amendment in the Constitution. Um, they, on the state level, are usually against any kind of policy regarding firearm protection. They recently did pass a not a red flag, but a gun storage law for cars. Um, but besides that scenario, anyone can have a gun with no license and under the age of 18. There is no license requirement to open carry in public. So essentially, anyone could have done this. This is not, a like, oh, well, they just got through this little law. There is no law. It's just that anyone can go get a gun. I could go buy a gun right now as we speak. No training necessary. Buy ammunition, and that's it. So there's an obvious gap where we need to make sure that people who do own firearms and rifles are properly trained and also qualified to own.
Okay, and how do you feel that the gun laws should be? Do you think that there should be restrictions on people that take medicinal marijuana, mental health patients? What do you think? Do you think that was this a serious mental health person like who suffered from bullying? Like what was the scope of the storyline behind that kid vision when he did that or she did that?
Yeah, there is in that case, I believe there was definitely a huge, mental illness, which I think when I think people look at these school shootings or church shootings or the synagogue shootings, whatever it may be, we try to rationalize why the shooter did it, and there is no way to properly rationalize what a crazy person does.
That's true.
And that's what I think we have to understand, that these people that have done this, there's no way to connect with that, right? So when it comes down to these issues where people who have gone crazy, they have gone too far, and they are purchasing multiple guns just for the only purpose of shooting people, that's when it would impact everyone and help everyone's lives just a little bit more, and safety and precaution. Like, if you have a certain illness, I do believe there should be extra training. There should be extra precautions before purchasing a gun. I don't know. I couldn't go into specifics about every single condition about whether or not they should or should not have guns, because I'm not a specific expert in that area. But I can say people who are not well intentioned or don't have the cognitive ability to own one by themselves should not have access to that, or with a past of also gun violence.
Assault rifles, do you feel like that assault rifles should not even be up for grabs either, because that is so horrendous? Like, for instance, I'll give you a something that I learned yesterday. There was this guy that went to the airport, and he had an assault rifle in his car, and they had to arrest him. His parents called the police on him because he was trying to kill people at the Atlanta airport. What does that mean to you as you being a Democratic leader of your high school party?
Yeah, I just saw that too. It's scary. That's horrifying. I when it comes to assault weapons, I have to think back, because in Tennessee, hunting's a big fun thing we like to do here. We like to go hunting. A bunch of families always take breaks off to go hunting, and I always ask people, "Do you need your assault weapon to do that?" They say no, because it would just blow off the entire deer. If someone uses an assault weapon, there's no meat left on the deer or whatever they're hunting.
Yeah.
The only reason to have an assault weapon is to assault someone or to kill someone. Um, that is a military grade weapon, not for use for anything else. Um, and that's scary. I don't believe assault weapons should be on our streets, but also sadly, uh, it's going to be very, very hard if someone is in office who wants to um, take away all assault weapons. That's going to be very hard to do. It doesn't seem realistic. So now we have to find other ways to prohibit gun assault weapons from taking our streets, from being more present than human beings. So yeah, there's many precautions we should take. I don't believe assault weapons should be legal, but that would only lead to a very, very complicated policy of having to deal with how many people, how many guns can we take out, how many assault weapons are there. There's a lot of very complicated steps you would have to take to really make it a perfect scenario. So any way we can limit it would be preferable, though.
Do you know the statistics of how many young males are working on getting into the Democrat Party? Are there young males your age looking to change to the Democrat Party from Republican and Democrat?
Uh, I would say overall around the country, we still have this huge gender gap between Democrats and Republicans, where women are more likely to be Democrats and men are more likely to be Republicans. Um, I think there are plenty of young men who are liberal leaning or Democratic affiliated, but there are obviously a much higher Republican percentage among men, mostly because of, I think 2024 really divided us in total. It's been happening for a very long time, how masculinity and femininity have kind of been adopted by the two parties. The two presidential candidates last year, obviously different genders. One of them was focused on, retribution and, getting look very masculine, posing after he was arrested and charged. And the other one was a woman who was fighting for abortion rights. So, which is a very feminine dominated topic. So that is that's kind of led to a big gender gap. Now, I believe that more men have become more conservative socially because of that. And I say fiscally, it would be a different conversation, but socially speaking, that is true.
What would you tell high end and smaller end Democrats that or Republicans that may want to go towards Democrat, more lean towards Democrat, like if you had to someone that was your age that's Republican, what would you tell them to lean more towards Democrat?
I'd say we need to stop, arguing over the superficial social issues and get down to the substance and actual policy. Uh, you know, 80% of people agree that we should raise the minimum wage. Democrats have put that in, filed that bill every single year, and it gets shut down by Republicans. 80% of people agree in universal background checks. Same thing there. 80% of people agree in Medicaid expansion federally and every state, but Republicans will shut it down. So, just basic common sense things: teacher pay raise, investing in education, public education, school lunch being free, stuff like that. Not controversial or political problems. They're just kind of, would you like to help people or not? And that's kind of why I'm in that way, in that headspace. I don't want people to get caught up in the issues that Republicans have kind of put onto us, that we've started fighting back really harshly, like transgender athletes. Obviously, to those 16 people who were affected, I hope they are okay. But to the 42 million people who are not going to get food stamps because next month because of the government shutdown, I'm a little bit more worried about that right now. So again, we need to look at the actual substance. And once you actually look at the issues that matter to you, like the average Republican or the average MAGA farmer or former veteran, like I just saw yesterday, I went to the doctor. It's in a hospital office. And the first car parked in a handicapped spot. It had a Trump sticker on it, and it had a "Don't Tread on Me" sticker on it. But the license plate read Army veteran, meaning they voted for the same person who cut their VA and cut their health care. And now they're there having to pay probably much more, having probably to go to medical debt for the rest of their lives, probably with last generations too, carried through to their son or daughter or whomever. So that's the sad reality. We need to talk about the issues because it's affecting everyone, not just Democrats or Republicans.
I have to say this story to make your whole story look good. I was a Trump supporter, but I noticed that I was giving money to a billionaire, and I noticed that I would never research him, but research everyone else, and it should go both ways. And I decided to become an independent, but I have more Democrat values than Republican values. And and that's why I wanted you on the show. So I wanted to say, where are you going for the long haul? Are you in this Democrat society for the long haul? And if so, what do you plan on doing with your education about being a Democrat leader for your high school?
Yeah, I will absolutely never commit to being a Democrat forever
Okay.
because because if they make a sudden change and they say, you know what, we think billionaires should start running the country, I will leave that party in a heartbeat because that's not what I signed up for. uh, I am not subscribed to a party, I'm subscribed to a country. I I
Okay.
I like America. I love America. I don't like it as it currently is, but love its potential. I love the vision that it can be. That's why I strive, for it to be a better country every day, a more perfect union. So, in that sense, I will never fully sign a contract with the Democratic Party, but uh, as it currently stands, I would be more affiliated. There's a bunch of different things I am fully against with the Democratic Party right now, but
Me too.
and I would hope so because we should keep questioning and upholding our legislators, congressmen, whatever it may be, regardless of their party. If you agree with 100% with someone, there's something wrong with you, because no one should be agreeing 100% with anyone they're being represented by. So uh, that being said, the way I would keep going up and keep growing, um, I plan on going to college next year. I'm a senior, hoping to gain some more experience firsthand in DC, hopefully, and I need to keep traveling and seeing more diverse thinking, more diverse mindsets. Don't be, stuck in an echo chamber. Obviously, it's not much of a Democratic echo chamber in Tennessee, but um, it's not much of a Republican echo chamber in DC. So I'm uh, trying to figure out, where's the best place I can be so I can hear all sides of the same story and find why people think this way, and continue using my opinions and my voice for the right reasons.
Do you feel like your voice is being heard? And tell me the senators, because you've met some U.S. and state senators you've met.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I think some people's voices are being heard. Uh, there are people on both sides who are not taking corporate PAC money, who have pledged they're not going to be, uh, held on to strings by billionaires in Congress or in state level government. And I think those people represent their people the best. Um, and I've gotten to meet some amazing people at the state level, specifically Heidi Campbell, state senator in Nashville, Charlene Oliver, another state senator. A few great representatives in the state house are, I'd say, Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, Gloria Johnson, people who aren't taking, money from these corporations or wealthy billionaires. They're just working on grassroots campaigns, talking to voters every single day, and they also keep learning. They ask questions to their constituents. They don't tell the constituents what's right and what's wrong. They ask because they want to represent us. They don't want to be controlled by a corporation. Um, and I've gotten to meet people on the federal level. I've met, a Republican, Bill Haggerty, who I will disagree with on many issues, but he um, was a very kind man. And also through my process of seeing, talking to people in the Republicans in the state house, attempting to pass some kind of gun reform bill. I see them as people. They actually are real people. Democrats and Republicans alike on social media will dehumanize each other because politics has gotten so personal. But when you look in them in the eye, you realize they're people. They're going home to their families. They represent not just their constituents but also their household. And uh, I've gotten to have great personal relationships with Republicans who I will disagree with 100% of the time on many different things. But I can respect that they truly think and what they're doing is best for their country. Um,
Well said.
and I have to respect that. I can never disagree with someone fully about the person when they think what they're doing is best for America. Because I think what I'm doing is best for America, and what we're all if we're as long as we're all doing what we think is best for the country, um, we're all in this for the right reason.
Do you feel like, how would you incorporate AI if you were running for president? Because you still got time to think about that. If you were running for president, how would you incorporate the new super and artificial intelligence into the school system as a Democrat?
It would be a huge nuanced policy. Firstly, AI people don't really look into the environmental facts. XAI, Elon Musk's company, uh, they basically forced us to put a factory in Memphis, the most majority black city in America, and it has decreased air quality by almost double. People are, going to the hospital every day with new lung conditions because of that new factory. It takes a lot of energy to run an AI company or an AI, website. So any kind of generator for AI is through usually, the same stuff we are using to make plastic or something like that. It's a
Yeah.
factory, right? So all these greenhouse gases being emitted, I want to make sure we're making sure people aren't affected by this firsthand, making sure that obviously we generate an AI future where people can um, live to a more efficient life. Obviously, we're not all just reliant on AI in school. We should continue to enhance and develop our creativity, especially in the youth, whether it comes to writing. But I do think there's a really special part of AI. If we find an eco-friendly way to do so, we can definitely have a more efficient future where we're not getting ideas from it, but we are building ideas from it. We can learn from AI, we can organize from AI, and we can grow from it, but we can't or shouldn't try to just generate a random idea from there.
Yeah, so more clean energy because the chemistry, the periodic or the chemistry table is aluminum for AI. So yeah, a lot of aluminum, and I get what you're saying. I feel like the basics of this whole thing is to have clean energy for the consumer and the people who work at those factories. So where do you see yourself going in the future?
Wherever the wind takes me at this point, I couldn't imagine myself not doing anything related to government or politics. I am not gonna open or close any doors on myself yet. Uh, Wherever I feel um, America would best need me at that moment, I'll go. Whether they need me in education advocacy, whether they need me on the House floor, whether they need me interning at the White House, uh, that's where I'll go. I think our firsthand need. I want to help with solve any problem right now we have, um, but I am always happy to take on the biggest fish first.
What would you have to tell the White House, the Democrats and the Republicans, and the independents? What what kind of advice would you give them for the 2026, 2028 election?
I'd say listen to people, listen to their constituents. Um, Anyone running, Democrat or Republican, on a platform that would include getting money from billionaires and corporations, um, you don't represent the people. And whether they, are 20-year incumbent, like in Memphis, we only have one Democrat congressman in Tennessee, and he is representing Memphis. He is a 20-year incumbent, and he's being primaried by one of our top people now, who's 27 years old, I think. Um, and the current incumbent, by the way, is about 78, 76 years old. So um, my advice would be listen to your people, listen to your constituents. First of all, do they even want you in office? And second of all, what are the issues that are affecting them, and what are your main issues? Because if you're advocating for um, you know a certain position in foreign policy, but then the first issue on everyone's ballot is we want healthcare. You know, you're not representing your people. You're just guessing, right? You're just putting what you think is first. People aren't that dumb. Some people are dumb, but not everyone's that dumb. All right, because whether you had gone to college or not, we all know what we need. Because we're us. No one else can know what we need besides us. So that's what I tell them. It starts with getting rid of those ties and that pressure from corporations and wealthy people, who are handed in your checks every day, helping you trade stocks on the house floor. Obviously, that's enticing, just to vote their way every time so you get rich. But the other option is you vote the right way. People aren't going to vote you out. That's the fear nowadays. When you go against your donors, they're going to go primary you against someone else who would. And, money isn't everything. Votes are what matters at the end of the day. People don't count how much money you raised. They count how many votes you got. The way you get votes nowadays isn't how much money you spend. It's how well you connect with your constituents.
Well said. And last question, are you doing something for your community for the future?
Yeah, we are really focused on voter turnout for youth in Tennessee. We will be doing a bunch of voter registration drives across college campuses and high school campuses. School boards across the state in Tennessee will be doing that soon, and next year before primary season. So that's my next goal. Hopefully, we just get a bunch of young people ready to vote, whether they're Democrat or Republican. I want them to show up and make their voice heard.
Okay, and I just wanted to ask, how can the people reach you?
Yeah, I'm at Jacob A. Francy on Instagram. You can probably just reach me there.
Okay, and I want to thank you guys for joining my show today. Stay on the line, Jacob. Thank you guys for joining my show today. Y'all be safe, and I will see you guys another time. Bye.
Never waste my time, you all I want.